Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox, the Compliance Evangelist, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 364 of the FCPA Compliance Report. As this is the first podcast of 2018, I hope you had a very happy new year, and now you're ready to get to the work of doing compliance in this new year. Today I have with me Gerry Zack. Gerry is the incoming president of the Society of Corporate Compliance and Ethics, the SCCE, with the impending retirement of Roy Snell. Gerry is stepping into that role. I have a very interesting interview with Gerry about his new role at the SCCE, why he took on this particular challenge after 2 months of working in his new interim role, or incoming role, I should say. What are some of his initial observations of the SCCE, and what a compliance professional can do to become involved with the SCCE going forward. Gerry Zack is somebody we're going to be talking about quite a bit over the next few years, as he will become the president of the largest compliance organization. And I hope you will enjoy this episode, and I hope you will continue to listen to the FCPA Compliance Report. The FCPA Compliance Report is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network. Hello everyone, this is Tom Fox, back for another episode of the FCPA Compliance Report. Today you are in for a real treat because we have Gerry Zack. Gerry's the incoming CEO at the Society of Corporate Compliance and Ethics, and also HCCA. He came on board on November 1, I believe, and he has a very interesting background that we're going to get into a little bit in the podcast. But Gerry, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me today.
Well, thanks, Tom. It's a pleasure being here. It really is.
So, Gerry, I mentioned your background because I'm a lawyer, and many of the folks I know in the compliance profession came to the profession either from the general counsel's office or from outside counsel position or some other legal position in a company. But your background is a little bit different. You're a certified fraud examiner, you're a certified public accountant, you're a certified internal auditor, you're certified in risk management assurance, and you're a certified compliance and ethics professional. Can you tell me how you got into not so much the fraud examiner role, but maybe really the compliance world?
Yeah, well, the two worlds they overlap quite a bit. I mean, my route to compliance, if you will, actually dates all the way back to when I first began in public accounting. Many want to think how many years ago. Many years ago, in audit, even from the get-go, when I was doing audit work, I was more of a compliance auditor. The nature of the audits that I was working on at the time were heavily focused on both compliance and financial. So, like nonprofits and government contractors and federal funding and financial institutions, groups like that. So it really, from the get-go, I had a bit of a flavor for compliance. But really where I got most heavily into compliance was through the investigative side of things. In compliance investigations, in my initial investigative work really focused heavily on regulatory compliance and violations thereof. And then from there I got more into the fraud-related investigations area, which of course in many organizations, that either reports up into compliance or there's at least some sort of touch point with the compliance officer and the compliance office of an organization. So so most of my career, I've a period where I did serve as a chief compliance officer. But other than that, my approach in the compliance has been as an outside advisor, investigator, and as well as an advisor who would design or evaluate compliance and ethics programs for a number of different companies.
So, Gerry, as I mentioned, you came on board with the SCCE and HCCA on November 1, and I believe your title is the incoming CEO. I was wondering if you could explain what that title means and what your current role is at SCCE and HCCA.
Sure. It's a good question because it really, the title actually reflects a great deal of thought and consideration into this transition plan. Roy Snell, who was, one of the founders of this organization, and it's been really its only CEO, over the years, had announced that he wanted to step away, but he wanted to not just locate a new CEO, but to really integrate a new CEO and make for a very successful transition. This area where a lot of companies really get it wrong in terms of a transition. There's a 1 month overlap, and good luck to the new guy kind of. We're going to continue on as the CEO for another year, actually a little bit more than a year. Roy will have the title of CEO up until about March of 2019. At that point in time, then I will have been fully acclimated into all the activities of the association and really know everyone much, much better. So at that point, it's in March of 2019. That I will this into who's involved, in other words, and will be active with the association, but more on other types of special projects and needs of the association at that point.
So one thing I've really been intrigued by was why did you want this challenge? Obviously, to have a role like this is I would have to say if not a dream job, certainly a very plum job. You left the consulting world to come into the nonprofit world. But what was it that attracted you? And of course, you had to go through a very public process that not all members were a part of, but we were certainly aware that the organization was going through this. And what was it that attracted you, Gerry?
Well, really, part of it is you hit the nail on the head there when you said it's a bit of a dream job. And the reason it's a dream job for me is because it really, I've got a passion for the mission, for starters. The passion for the I sometimes joke with people. It started out years ago when my father was a career IRS examiner, so I guess I had compliance in the blood from the very beginning. But as I said, throughout my whole career, I've been involved with compliance in one angle or another, and that combined then with I had my own practice, my own business here at the association. I enjoyed my previous experience as an executive within a nonprofit membership organization back when I was at the Optical Society. So, it really seemed to hit all the different areas that I really, really enjoy and have been successful at. So it really that wonderful combination of challenges and opportunity. Organization itself is very, very. It's not like coming into a crisis mode as a new CEO. Things are running very, very smoothly. So it's a very stable group with a strong staff and a great faculty. So it kind of as you said, it's a bit of a dream job in that respect. It's a very very stable, healthy step the organization to its next level.
So could you give us, after some maybe 6 weeks on the job, what are some of either your initial observations or perhaps things that surprised you, even though you'd been a member and a CCEP as well?
Yeah, sure. It's a good question because I think probably the main thing that I don't even know if I would call it a surprise, but one of the it's a very pleasant surprise if you can call it a surprise that the members have. Everyone knows about Roy. Everyone knows about the great faculty at the academies and those folks. So that part I already knew about. But what I didn't recognize until this came about is the passion that the members really have. I've received so many hundreds of messages from members just wishing me nothing but success, offering their support. This is a membership that really wants to help move this profession forward and continue the momentum that the organization already has, that is solely attributable to the Roy Snells of the world and the faculty, the Debbie Trucklesses, and all those folks that really have played such a key role in this. But the people want that to continue. They want it to keep growing and keep being successful. So I've had nothing but great wishes from everyone, encouraging me and asking if I need any help. So that I think it's that passion part that really has been such a great experience for me to see.
So I know perhaps it's a little bit early, but we are almost upon the new year, and that's a time for not only reflection but thinking about things in the veiled land of the future. And I was wondering if you have any goals set for yourself around SCCE in 2018 that you could share with us.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, my principal goal in 2018 is to meet as many of the members as I can to really learn what is driving their needs. This is a membership organization, so it's all about serving members and furthering the profession. So I just want to learn as much as I can about the needs, the desires that our membership has, and how the association can continue to fill those needs. Are there ways we can get better? Every organization can get better. So that's even kind of a silly question, but so where can we get better? Where can we help the membership even better than we have in the past? What is it that they love about the organization? Is there anything that they'd change about the organization? So for me, that's one of the beautiful things about this nice transition plan where Roy will be at the helm for the next year, is that I can spend this next year really just learning this organization, really getting, and not just how it operates, that's kind of the easy part, but it's learning it from the standpoint of from the members, meeting them firsthand, going to visit them in their places of business, in fact, to kind of see what their main concerns are and how this association can help them do their job better, and how we can continue furthering this as a profession globally. So those are really my goals, like not a lot of tangible, like I have to achieve this by such and such a date, as much as really just embedding myself in this association.
So, Gerry, that sounds like to me that's going to require if not extraordinary, certainly a fair amount of travel on your part, given the widespread nature of SCCE conferences, but also the academies literally across the world.
Yes, yeah, I plan on racking up some frequent flyer miles this coming year, because that's the way to do it. I'm going to get out to as many of these as I can. I've already got, I've been putting together my travel schedules so far just for the first few months of the year. And, I've got a lot of trips on the books, because I don't just want to show up and spend a couple hours and, one day and head back. I want to be there and meet the members during breaks and talk to as many of them as I can. So when I do go to these conferences and academies, I'm going to be there for the duration. So yeah, you're absolutely right. That was going to be a fair amount of travel.
So one of the things that intrigued me when you and I first spoke was you asked about my involvement with the SCCE, and that really led me to wonder, or at least ask you, if someone's listening to this podcast and they're intrigued with SCCE, how could they get involved? We mentioned the conferences, we mentioned academies, but there are really a multitude of ways that literally any compliance professional or practitioner can become involved with the SCCE. What are some of the areas that you would highlight?
Well, the main ones is just in sharing of knowledge, sharing of resources, sharing of expertise through either speaking or writing. We're always looking for new folks to share their knowledge, particularly in the written form, in terms of contributing to whether it's, we've got some newsletters, magazines, there's so many different avenues, and we'll probably, develop new avenues, over the coming years, for members to share their knowledge. So yeah, people who are willing to, you don't have to write a book, you can just write short pieces that will help, share some knowledge. And then of obviously the speaking opportunities. So when we have these call for speakers for the conferences, really, I strongly encourage people to submit things for these conferences. It's a great way to further your career, as well as to then share knowledge with the entire profession. And there's going to be even more of these opportunities as we grow. There's going to be even more pressure for us to add more and more different events and different avenues for sharing of knowledge. So that's far and away the biggest. And getting involved at the regional and local level as well.
So, Gerry, unfortunately, we're near the end of our time, but with your desire to meet as many people, members of SCCE and those who might be interested, if anyone wanted to contact you, what would be the best way for them to do so?
Well, probably the easiest is just I'm easy to find on LinkedIn, but also just my own email is very easy. It's just Gerry.Zack, so Gerry.Zack @corporatecompliance.org. Please send me a message or connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very easy to find there as well. I'd welcome, starting to hear a little bit more about everyone's roles and what they would like to see out of the association, as well as what they've gotten out of the association already.
So I've been visiting with Gerry Zack, the incoming CEO at the SCCE and the HCCA. The LinkedIn profile is something that's near and dear to my heart because Roy Snell told us to link in with you at the last Compliance and Ethics Institute. So I understand that you nearly broke LinkedIn that day with the request. But Gerry, I'm greatly looking forward to working with you in the future. And thanks again for taking time to visit with my listeners. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox again. I'd like to thank you for listening to this episode of the FCPA Compliance Report. If you are interested in elevating your compliance program, this month of January 2018, I'm running a 31-day podcast series entitled 31 Days to a More Effective Compliance Program. In it, I take the most latest pronouncements from the Department of Justice, which were the 2017 Evaluation of Corporate Compliance Program document and the new FCPA Corporate Enforcement Policy, and incorporate those into the existing 10 hallmarks of an effective compliance program. It's a fascinating exploration which will give you solid tips to upgrade your compliance program throughout the month. This is Tom Fox. Thank you again for listening. I hope you will join me again for another episode of the FCPA Compliance Report. The FCPA Compliance Report is a part of the Compliance Podcast Network.